for our next webinar. Today we're going to be talking about some hot tips, so various areas of Totango to brush up some of your skills and give you a little bit of inside scoop on how to improve leveraging some of the specific areas of Totango. So a little bit about me. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Cecilia Tavel. I've been running customer success programs here at Totango. I've been here for about 3.5 years and love working with all of you. So if you'd like to stay in touch, if you have any specific questions or feedback on our sessions or would like to see something new or different, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is just cecilia@totango.com, and I'll be happy to connect. So for today's agenda, we're mainly going to be actually in the demo instance. So we'll jump into that right after we go through the agenda. But we're going to talk about segments, how to use them to explore your customer base. We'll talk about metrics, how to come up with some cool metrics to measure ROI and set up some alerts on risk and opportunity. Success beat campaigns. So we'll actually dive into a success beat campaign and I'll show you how to create one. And then if we have some time, we'll do some other quick tips. Also, just FYI, if you have any questions, hopefully we'll have time to take as many questions as we have coming in, but you can type them into the question box and we'll get to them right after the demo. So let me jump into the demo instance and show you how to get this stuff done. All right, so I am on my portfolio right now. We're going to actually dive directly into segments. And if you guys are new to segments or haven't created segments before, when you start creating them, you'll have essentially 3 different things you can create here. So you can create a folder, a user segment, and account level segment. The functionality as far as creating account level segments and user segments are basically the same. I would suggest if you don't have a like a structured folder scheme, get that going so that things are organized and everybody knows where to go and where to place their segments once they've created them. But assuming you have all that already done, we can just go and work on the specific segments that you want to start with. So let's do a quick account level segment to start, and then we'll do something cool with it. So let's edit some of the conditions. For some reason that's not loading. So I'm going to just go into a segment that I already have created in the past, and then we'll do that instead. Apologize about that. So let me look into this one. So basically, the once you have defined your conditions, you basically use the filtering editor. You set up your criteria. I'm looking at a paying customer base, contract value above 1,000, and I'm looking at customers that are of key account type. So if you have segmentation or different tiers of customers, maybe enterprise, small, and medium customers. In this particular case, there's key accounts versus commercial accounts. Key accounts are the ones that get high level of service or more dedicated resources. So I'm looking at that customer base. I can get a preview quickly of what the health looks like for that particular segment. I can see how many accounts are in that segment and what is the contract value. But the other cool thing that is really powerful within segments, and if you haven't leveraged that before, is the column editor. So you can actually specify the columns that you want to see in your results besides the kind of the defaults. So when you click on that, you can actually expose the data points that are relevant for you. You can also drag and drop them to a position that's meaningful and visually appealing to you. You can also get rid of things that are not important. So maybe I already know I'm looking at paying customers, so that's not necessarily an important piece of information that I need to see in my results. I can remove things that are not important, and I can get things in here that are important. So maybe I've created some cool custom metrics. And I want to see that information. So maybe I want to see the average time spent per active user. I can easily grab that data. I can also expose whether I want to see just the value or the percentage change. So maybe I want to see both the value and maybe I want to see both the percentage change, which is a really cool part of our metrics capability. I can also drag and drop this. So I'm going to just drag and drop it to another position. And assuming that's all I want to see, I can add those new columns in. Now they'll be reflected in my results in my segment. And now I have these two cool columns. So I have average time spent, percentage change, and I can actually see the average time spent per active user. So it's pretty neat. When I click on the column, I can actually sort it. So maybe I want to see, who are my most, kind of advanced customers as far as how much time they spend in the system. And this is in minutes, so I can really, focus maybe on these particular customers. They're way above anybody else. Maybe there's something specific I want to do with them. Maybe I want to send them a congratulations. There's unique things I can leverage that information. The other things you can do with segments, if you need to, you can actually export the data to CSV. You can generate an API endpoint. You can duplicate your segment, which really saves your time if you want to build on top of the logic that you have already established. And that's all part of the segmentation. The other thing that's neat in the segments is the ability to group by. So you can actually group by any attribute that is in Totango. So if I wanted to just say group it by my success managers, I can easily group it by that. And now I have a slightly different view of my segment. So I can actually see a summary for each CSM, how many accounts they have in that particular segment, what is the contract value, and what is the health distribution. I can easily ungroup it as well. And the triggering mechanism is available to you as well. If you're not familiar with that, triggers are, they come in several different forms. So triggers can be tags. So if you want to apply tags automatically based on the logic that is in the segment, you can do that. You can also set it up to send you a quick email alert. So for example, if you wanted to get an email whenever a specific customer enters a segment, you can get an email. So this is your triggering mechanism that you can leverage. So with that, I'm going to proceed on to our metrics. So hopefully that give you a little bit of something new in segments. We also have hot tips available that have other examples in our training section. So feel free to refer to that as well. So now going to move on to our metrics capability. And I showed you a quick example of metrics. But metrics are super powerful to get you kind of the specific ROI information. So things that are like the customers are doing well. Maybe you want to look at kind of average usage per a specific activity that is being performed. It really gives you a lot of that kind of information and ability to do that. If you don't have metrics on your account, that means you don't have access to it within your package. So reach out to us if you want to get metrics available so that you can start creating these cool things. So what I'm going to show you, this particular metric is looking at tasks and touch points per user. So what it's doing, if you look at the formula, we're looking at the specific number of tasks that were created in the last 7 days, adding that to the number of documents created or deleted in the last 7 days. And then we're dividing that by the number of active users in the last 7 days. So we're taking an average of a particular sum of activities. There's also another easy one here. So tasks per active user. So we are looking at how many tasks were created in the last 7 days for a user, and then dividing that by the number of active users in the last 7 days, so we can get that average per user. So if I go into my segments, and I'll show you, there's actually one that looks into this kind of stuff. So basically, I'm looking at this particular segment, and it's looking at an average. We're looking at the logic of tasks and touch points per user. There are at least 60. So I want to basically reach out for this particular customer base and to any customer that has at least 60 tasks or touch points. And this is a user level segment, and I have the specific users in front of me. And from here, because I have the the metrics capability, I can really target my customers with a specific message. So I can actually expand and reach out to the customers that fall into a particular audience that are good targets for me for expansion. And this is where we'll actually dive into a particular campaign, and I'll show you how to build a success beat campaign targeting and identify a group of people that are relevant. So, and another thing that is important or interesting is looking at specific average or specific fluctuations in usage. So you can look at an increase or you can look at a drop. So it can be like an opportunity or it can be a risk for you. So if we look at, for example, this one, if one of our custom metrics increased by at least 30%, we can actually do the same thing I showed you earlier where we defined or edited our columns. We can see that in our results. So we can see an average time spent per active user increase. And we can see it's pretty significant for some accounts. So we can actually see that as a good opportunity potential. And it's something we can use either a campaign for, or we can build a process internally for customer success team via Success Blaze to reach out to our customer. We can also do the same thing on the risk. So we have a pretty significant drop in our metric. We have an average time spent per user decreases by at least 30%, which is pretty significant. Something we can do with that, we can build a success play to alert our team to get in touch. And we can also do the triggering mechanism that I showed you earlier. You can actually specify an email address and get alerted right away. So you can get an email whenever a new customer comes in that has that significant drop in time on the system. So this is where metrics can be super helpful. The other thing you can do with metrics is actually infuse them into your health. So you can actually use the those fluctuations and percentages on any significant capability that drops for your customers and affect health by it. So that's something I would also encourage you to explore after you have come up with some cool metrics. I think health is another additional capability that can be easily modified and affected by how the metrics are changing. So that's good to note as well. The other cool tip today that I wanted to focus on, and it's going to take us a little bit more time to go through, is part of our campaign's capabilities. So specifically a success beat type of campaign, which allows you to essentially reflect your customers' usage back to them so you can actually show them how they're doing on your platform. So I'm going to go into a success beat that I already created. And this one, I'm actually looking at customers that are doing good with documents. So they're using, let's say I'm a document management solution, and part of the system capabilities allows me to create documents, share documents, things like that. So I'm going to build a success beat campaign that talks to my customers about how they're doing with their documents. I'm going to specify that this is a nurture type of campaign, but now with success flows, you can actually define and categorize your specific campaigns by the type that they are, and this is going to be a nurture one. I'm going to build my own custom campaign in this particular case, so I can just customize it the way I want to. And my criteria for my campaign is looking at my customers that are paying, and I'm looking at customers that are, doing the document creation. They have done that at least 10 times in the last 14 days. I can easily see a preview of my particular group. There's this many people. I can see who they are. And then when I continue, what I can also do is specify a goal if it's relevant. So basically, if my campaign is going to promote or encourage somebody to do something specific within my product, then maybe I want to specify a goal. So maybe I'm going to encourage someone to share more or view more. So maybe I'll say, because I'm encouraging them to share more documents, I want to actually see them doing that more. So I'm going to say I want to see that level of activity. I want to see them doing, they're sharing more than 10 times in the next 14 days after the campaign is sent. So that's the really powerful capability of goals that you can schedule and set up within campaigns. And I'm going to give this just a quick description. And when I continue, this is where I can actually go in and customize my message. So my first part of my message is going to be my subject line. So I'm just saying, you're doing great with documents. Now take it to the next level. So this is my quick email subject, and obviously you want to make it, catchy and interesting, something that your customers can see and get encouraged to click in and actually do more with. I'm going to specify my sender. So it's going to be coming from me, or from any assigned success manager. So it's going to retain that kind of one-to-one email feel, so that you're actually, when the user receives the email, it's going to be addressed from their CSM that they're familiar with. If there's no CSM assigned, you can also have a fallback email address and a name. So for some reason, if there's no CSM, you can actually just have someone else to fall back on. And I'm going to quickly refresh my screen here. Just a moment. It's taking me about a little while to load it. And we'll dive into the editor. All right, so I'm going to just jump back in to the campaigns and see if it does better next time I go through this really quick. And I do apologize. I think my internet connection today might be a little bit slow. All right, so this is actually the message that I created. So I'm going to show you a quick preview of it, of what it looks like. Basically, I'm reflecting to my customer, telling them congratulations, you have done amazing work with documents creation, and we wanted to share some other great stats about your usage in the past week. We're also trying to promote something, so we're trying to encourage them, to leverage some other capabilities. So we're basically saying that they can take advantage of our more advanced document creation widget, XYZ, which can take their usage to the next level. So what I'm doing here, if you can see that there's 3 visual cards here. So what this is basically doing is exposing the number of times this individual, and the message being sent to Ravit. This is how many times she has created documents in the system in the last 14 days, which is the data point that we have in Totango. So it's showing to her that she created documents 12 times in the last week. She shared 14 documents, and then she didn't view any documents. So we're also encouraging her to click on this to learn more, to get more information on the XYZ widget. And we can also send ourselves a test preview email message to make sure everything is aligned correctly. We can also embed our own banner. So this is just a banner I grabbed. But you guys can customize with your logos, your colors, to make sure that the message is customized and branded to your look and feel. And when I'm done with my editing and previewing, I can schedule my success beat. The success beat is actually the type of email that should be a recurring one. So basically, you would be sending it at a specific time, date. It can be weekly, it can be daily or monthly. You can set it up to schedule to go out, every week. This is kind of a weekly one that we were working on. And the thing with that is that it's going to essentially target the same group of people. It's just the data is going to change. So if Ravit next week creates more documents or shares more documents, her statistics within the body of the success beat are going to change, but the message is going to remain the same. So once I'm done with that, I can actually schedule it and continue. And then my specific success beat is going to be, going out to the right audience at the right time with a very specific message. So that's the benefit, really, because we have data on your customers, on their usage within Totango. Exposing that level of information to the specific individual is very powerful, because when they receive and open that email, it's going to have only their specific data exposed to them. So it's very meaningful and powerful to them. And you can also encourage them to do more, to buy more, whatever the kind of the goal for your campaign is. But it is something that the customers really enjoy, seeing how they're doing with the new product. So that was most of the information that I wanted to cover today. I wanted to see if anybody has any questions. So if you guys wanted to start typing your questions in, we can go back to anything that you have questions on, feel free to do that. For now, what I'm going to do is quickly jump into reports, because that is often an area of Totango that gets a little bit neglected if you are not familiar with it. But I wanted to create an example report for you so you can see how you can easily leverage Totango's segments for visualizing information. So you actually have to have segments created. So segments are your building blocks for your reports. So if I already have some segments available to me, I'm actually going to just look for document creation segments that I have set up in the past. And I'm going to expose one for not creating documents. I'm going to make it red. And I'm going to look for another one that has creating documents or using documents. I'm going to do that one. And those are two segments that I want to expose. So it's really easy. Once you have your segments created, you basically grab them into your report, and you can slice and dice your report by any data point. So if I wanted to slice my report by my success manager, maybe I want to also grab my contract value and maybe my contract renewal date, things like that. Essentially any data that you have. And once I have that, I will have my two segments. They're going to be two trend lines. And the components that I slice my report by are going to be at the bottom. So I can actually visualize and see, in this particular case, by each success manager, how many customers they have that are using documents versus not using. I can see that distribution. I can also see by contract value. Looks like, I have the largest, concentration of customers using documents in my 18 to 19K customers as far as, revenue. And the largest population of customers not using documents are my smallest customers. So maybe there's some sort of outreach I can do with my small customers, maybe like a one-to-many program that can educate them, maybe a webinar to encourage them to use documents. So the other thing, if I look at this, what I can do is change the distribution of how this data is displayed. So I can actually edit my breakdown, and I can make this into a table. I can change the interval as well if I needed to make it smaller or larger interval. When I click on OK, what will happen, I'll get a table view. So it actually gives you a slightly different way to look at this information. Also, in any of these, you can actually click on them, and you can get to the actual accounts that are within that particular group, which makes it nice. I can also edit the date range. So by default, it's a 30-day window, but I can change it. I can also look at custom date ranges as well. And this really allows you, it's really a nice way to visualize information. So if you're looking to build some cool dashboards based on the specific segments that you have, this allows you to do that really quickly. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions on the reporting capability. I'm going to quickly save this one. And additionally to having, saving it, you can also, once you have saved it, you can save it as new. So if you create some cool templates for reports, when you save as new, basically it allows you to go back and edit your specific report and just swap out the specific segments. You can just remove the segments that are there and add other ones, assuming that the other kind of components that you sliced your data by are the same. You can keep it consistent and just build a few reports for your team, for your organization in one shot without having to do too much work. So let me go back to campaigns really quick. I did want to get into the editor, so I hope it loads for me this time. If not, we'll just skip that part for today. Yeah, it looks like it's a bit slow for me in the demo this morning. So what I'm going to do, just wanted you guys to see the actual data editing part. So I'm going to see if that works better in just a quick new campaign that I'm going to do. And it might just be this particular capability this morning that's having issues in our demo environment. Yeah, probably not today. So I do apologize about that. I wasn't able to get to the editor piece. But you guys did see the specific areas that are customizable. So let me know if you want to follow up with me directly and I can walk you through this piece some more. But basically, just going into the editor and infusing the data within Totango's campaign to expose a particular data to your customer base. So with that, this is, I wanted to wrap it up. I will hang out for a couple more minutes to see if anybody has any questions and I will take them. But I wanted to thank everybody for joining and I hope to see everyone again in our next webinar. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.